The Islamic State claims the massive terror attack that rocked Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, this morning, killing at least 7. Former Israeli President and Prime Minister Shimon Peres is in stable condition following a minor heart attack. And the Ebola epidemic is over, says the World Health Organization, after declaring West African Liberia free of the virus. Good afternoon and welcome to I-24 News. I'm Tal Shalev, and we begin in Israel. A stabbing attack occurred a short while ago close to the West Bank city of Nablus as a Palestinian attacker threw a Molotov cocktail at a group of Israeli soldiers before running at them with a knife. One IDF officer was lightly injured before the assailant was shot dead. Earlier this morning in the Hebron area, another Palestinian man attempting to stab a soldier was shot and killed by Israeli forces. And the Islamic State claimed responsibility for a series of bombings and gun battles which rocked the Indonesian capital of Jakarta this morning, marking the first assault on the Muslim-majority country by the radical group. 7 people were killed during the 3-hour exchange of fire. However, 5 of them were the attackers themselves. Indonesia has been on edge in recent weeks since IS had threatened to put Indonesia on its, quote, spotlight. I-24 News' Tamara Ziv has more.
The Islamic State group on Thursday claimed responsibility for carrying out deadly shootings and bombings in Jakarta earlier in the day, which were thought to be an imitation of the November attacks in Paris. Indonesian police said they previously received threats from ISIS that Indonesia would be in the spotlight and had made arrests accordingly.
We haven't confirmed anything yet, but from a warning it said there would be something about Indonesia that will be on the international news.
Indonesian President Joko Widodo visited the scene of the attacks and urged the public not to speculate on who was behind them.
We condemn these attacks that have disturbed the peace of society, and we want to spread this message to the nation. I ordered the authorities to catch those responsible for the attacks and even those out there that are involved in this. We, as a country, we should not be frightened by what has happened, this act of terror. We should stay calm because everything will be under control.
Police said there were at least 6 explosions and they had shot dead 3 of the attackers and captured 4. 3 suicide bombers were suspected to have been involved, while 3 policemen and 3 civilians were also killed, they said. The main thrust of the attack was on an office block, and it began with a blast outside a Starbucks cafe on its ground floor. Indonesia has been a victim of several bombing attacks in the past, claimed by Islamic militant groups. The country has been on high alert after authorities said they had foiled a plot by Islamic militants to attack government officials, foreigners and others. The country has seen a spate of militant attacks in the past, the deadliest of which was a nightclub bombing on the holiday island of Bali in 2002 that killed 202 people, most of them tourists. Police have been largely successful in destroying domestic militant cells since then, but officials have more recently been worrying about a resurgence inspired by groups such as Islamic State and Indonesians who return after fighting with the group.
Israel's 9th president and 2-time former Prime Minister Shimon Peres, who is 92 years old, was admitted to the Sheba Medical Center in Tel HaShomer this morning. According to his personal spokesperson, Peres woke up this morning with chest pains, later was diagnosed with a minor heart attack. He is currently in stable condition, as his son, Chemi Peres, updated earlier today.
My father is doing well. He had this morning, he suffered from some pain in his chest. It was a slight heart attack. He came to the hospital very quickly and was treated in a very professional way. He's fine. He's unconscious all the time. He's been talking and speaking all the time. Did not suffer too much pain. His heart is completely perfect. There's no damage that is irreversible. He's looking forward to fast recovery and going back to work. All he needs to do right now is really take some rest.
And we spoke earlier with I-24 News' Yoav Borovich, who was following Peres' medical situation at the Sheba Medical Center.
Good afternoon. Early this morning, former President and Prime Minister Shimon Peres came here to Sheba Hospital after suffering a minor heart attack. Over here, he went through a successful cardiac procedure. He feels now much better. He can read a book, he can eat some food. He'll be here for the next few days. All of his family members came here, a lot of media personalities, a lot of security personnel. So President Peres will be here for the next few days. He's 92 years old. Also, Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Rivlin spoke to people from President Peres' family and wished him to recover quickly. We'll continue to be here and follow all future developments.
Moving to Turkey, where a car bomb blast hit a police headquarters in the small southeast town of Sinar, killing 6 people, including a baby, and wounding at least 39. No group has claimed the attack. However, local officials blame the blast on Kurdish PKK militants who are active in the mainly Kurdish province. Meanwhile, Turkish officials announced today they have detained 7 people in connection with the suicide bombing at the heart of Istanbul that killed 10 German tourists earlier this week, which has been blamed on the Islamic State.
We couldn't see what happened, but gunfire was coming from all around the place. It was a big explosion. Windows of the buildings close to them are broken. It went off right there, but the walls here are damaged.
A second UN aid convoy in a week has set off for the rebel-held Syrian town of Madaya, comprising about 50 aid trucks, including flour, medicine, and hygiene products. The UN said it has received credible reports of people dying of starvation in Madaya, under siege from government forces, trapping about 40,000 civilians. A UN official who visited the town during the last aid drop said conditions there were the worst he had seen during Syria's 5-year civil war. And Liberia has been declared Ebola-free by the World Health Organization, effectively putting an end to the world's worst outbreak of the disease. The, quote, end of active transmission was declared after 42 days without a new case in the country, which now joins Guinea and Sierra Leone, which earned the status last year. And we're now joined on the phone by Gregory Hartl, spokesperson for the World Health Organization in Geneva. Gregory, thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you.
Is this really the end of Ebola? The World Health Organization has declared Liberia Ebola-free on 2 previous occasions before. So is there any chance the virus will resurface?
So we have never, ever used the words Ebola-free. That's important. Unfortunately, media tends to use the words Ebola-free, but WHO never does. Why do we never say Ebola-free? Because the virus persists. The virus is there in survivors. And this is what we are saying today. Although there is no transmission, there hasn't been transmission for the last 42 days. It still is in survivors. We don't know how many survivors, but there's always the possibility that the virus could be transmitted from a survivor to someone else.
And Mr. Hartl, why was Liberia such a specific case for the Ebola epidemic? Why was it such a target of this virus?
Well, remember, this virus, this big outbreak, the outbreak of which there have been over 28,000 cases, started in Guinea. And Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, the 3 countries are very interconnected. Their road systems, their peoples, their cultures, to some extent also, are very interconnected. So the virus moves around that region as if it were really a single region, and also the health systems of the 3 countries were not able to detect and contain the Ebola outbreak in its early stages. So really what happened was Liberia was the first of the 3 countries to originally stop the chains of transmission, but we have seen over the last 10 months 10 instances of what we call these flare-ups, where it is passed from a survivor on to someone else. And recently, that's happened twice in Liberia, unfortunately, and that's why Liberia is now the last country. But it's happened in the other 2 countries also.
Okay, Mr. Hartl, spokesperson for the World Health Organization, thank you for joining us. And British actor Alan Rickman, best known for films including Die Hard, Truly, Madly, Deeply, and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, has died at the age of 69. His agent and family members confirmed that he was suffering from cancer. Rickman enjoyed a new legion of fans thanks to his recent role as Professor Snape in the Harry Potter films. That's all for now. Join us again in 20 minutes. Thank you for watching.